I was gonna try and see if I could get like the nightgown stocking cap, but I did not have enough money. Okay, so welcome back. Welcome to the final installment of the Jacob Boatsman production set of videos. This is the post-production process that I do. As you can see, I do not have anyone with me, and that is because for my projects, and I'm guessing for a lot of independent creators projects, this is the most lonely part of the filmmaking process. You've already done the producing, you've already talked to all your friends about doing it, you've already filmed the whole thing, and now it's time to wrap things up and see what you can put together. An ongoing joke with my friends is that we always think, the producing part's the hardest part, and then it'll be smooth sailing from there. And then we go to filming and we go, the filming's the hardest part, but we'll make it from there. And we go, post-production part's the hardest part, and we'll make it from there. And before we know it, the whole project's over, and we've already done it. The hardest part was the project in general. It's just a process of getting to that home stretch that I find is the most grueling and loneliest part, and that's because this whole time you have your friends to support you, you've got your team to back you up, and now it's all alone in your little studio and you see what you can do. So something that I tend to do with all of my projects, I'm sure most of you guys have heard about it, is something called the Pomodora Method, and that is essentially 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest, and you keep going. I usually change it up to an hour of work, 15 minutes of rest, an hour work, 15 minutes of rest, and I tend to do that for 3 hours if I can find the time in the day, and that's just so that I can keep a sane brain of working on my projects. The software that I use for editing is Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, After Effects. Every single project that I do starts with the organization. I try to make it as organized as possible. So I get 2 folders, a sound folder and a video folder. I put it down every single day that we filmed, categorize that into every scene, and then every scene number, and then every shot number. And I do the same exact thing with sound. From that, it's kind of like sorting out from a library. So it's a lot more organized and a lot less overwhelming and scary to look at when you're editing. Then when I start editing, I try to set boundaries and standards for myself and say, like, I'm gonna try to get to scene 4 by the end of today. And if I don't get there, then at least scene 3. And so then you're always on a track and you always have that deadline, so you can always see the end goal in mind. I also try to make everything as color-coded and organized as possible. A good thing about Premiere Pro is they make it really, really easy to organize all your stuff. So I make the temp track and score, I make that orange, I make background sound yellow, I make the sound effects purple, I make the original dialogue blue, and I make the updated dialogue green. And so then I know exactly what I'm sorting through and it doesn't get confusing at all. Now with editing, I only went to one editing class ever, and that just kind of taught me the basics of editing, which I already knew. I would say pretty much everything with editing is an instance of trusting your gut, watching a lot of movies, referencing a lot of films, and learning your specific type of rhythm. Wes Anderson has a very distinct rhythm that looks nothing compared to Sean Baker's. I try to get an odd mix between Sean Baker's editing and Wes Anderson editing, which is very snappy, but at the same time let everything rest and serve its purpose, yet don't overstay its welcome. Because the coolest thing about editing is not overstating its welcome, because then you're like, this is a super cool thing, we're only going to give you a little teaser of it because we don't want to show off too much. It's tea, by the way. I don't love coffee. It kind of messes up my throat. I'm feeling a little bit sick right now, so I wanted some hot tea with honey. The last thing that I'll say, and this might be the most frustrating thing that I'm going to say in this video, but just get it done. The first cut is not going to be the best cut. That's why there's so many different cuts. I put in so many different sequences of so many different dates. You just need to get past the finish line, and it doesn't matter if you get to the finish line barreling and all bruised up and it's terrible. As long as you got something done, then you can say, okay, I did it. Now it's time for the revisions. Just get it done. When it comes to revisions, I'm very fortunate enough to live with a bunch of other filmers, so I get my friend Evan, who you've seen in other videos, I get strangers, I get other people to watch my films, and I watch my rough cuts, and we have notebooks on deck so we can write down all of our little notes on what we have. I would say the number one most effective way to revise your work is to watch someone else watch it. And that means I'm constantly watching my friend watch the film. And when you're doing that, all of your senses are heightened, whether that cut was just a millisecond too slow, whether it sounded a little bit off, all that stuff is heightened because you have the pressure of someone else in the room. You'll figure out what works, what doesn't work, all that stuff. However, there's been plenty of times when I don't have a friend over, or it's just me, or none of my friends know how to edit something. And so then, again, the Pomodora Method really works with looking over your mess, but also take a break from it. You can go on a long walk, or also set boundaries for yourself, set specific days where you're going to have off. Right now, I'm currently doing the special effects for Cardboard Island, and usually I'll edit for 4 hours, one special effects shot, and I'll take a day off and I'll look back and I'll go, oh my God, that was terrible. And so I'll go back on it with a fresh set of eyes. And that's pretty much the editing process. I am not a wonderful, perfect editor. I am pretty proud of the editing process that I do, but I'm not an editor first. I just have to be right now for my own projects, and that's okay. When it comes to distribution, I always go to a website called Film Freeway. It's a free website. You can sign up for their gold pass, but I've never done that just because I don't have enough money to do it. From there, you can see a catalog of everything that they have to offer. You can look up your specific niche of video, whether that's a student film, a documentary, it's only 5 minutes, it's 3 hours long. You can look at all that stuff. Another YouTuber that I really like, his name is Kent Lamb, and he has a whole draft of just all the film festivals that he signed up for. And so I've kind of cheated off of that, and it's been super helpful. If there's a specific film festival that you want to go to and you don't have the money for, luckily I've been fortunate enough to just be able to ask my school if they can fund it, or they'll even reach out to ask if they can fund it. Again, I'm very fortunate to have it, but that's where you can make an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter or get some kind of crowdfunding in order to fund for your films. But I would say YouTube has been perfect to me, Vimeo has been perfect, and just find any kind of way to get it out there. After you do your festival run, that's usually when you want to think about distribution. I've got a couple films on Amazon Prime right now. Distributions. It's scary. Film festivals are scary. This whole editing process is scary, but if you take it slowly, one step at a time, and just understand you are not alone. Every single person has to go through it, and if you're brave enough to get this far, then you're brave enough to do anything. Figure out a way to get your film seen and know that you're strong enough to do this because you've already done the entire battle. Like I said before, every single part of the film process is the hardest part of the film process, but the fact that you're able to do it, get your film out there and say that you have a film, whether that's 30 seconds to 2 hours long, you have a film and you should be proud of yourself. Thank you so much for watching all of my video essays. I hope to make more. Please let me know in the comments where I can make more videos. I've got a couple different ideas, but if you have anything that I haven't thought of, I'd love to give it a try. Thank you guys so much for your support. I'll talk to you later.